once you have a passion for something, I mean, people will do everything to get you out. Sure. But if you have the passion, then you look at it like, what is it? You must stand up to the challenge.
The more universities we have in the northern part of Ghana, the better for all of us.
Your son cannot marry a Muslim. Your son cannot marry a Christian. That is a taboo. But can marry Sakawa?
Anya pani is what got to be hangwama. Bihama Gilman, Darsaner, Karaman, Mojizambara. Papa Zomo, Bakagura, the Bian to Haluna.
I don't think we have achieved yet. I think we are still undertaking the journey.
It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Hello viewers out there, thank you so much for making up time on my Northern Achiever with me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli. I am the son of Musakumo, and today is a happy day, it's a good day, because as always, I have a very great guest in my midst, and I'm going for a very quick commercial break. When I come back, my guest is introduced and we start the program. But I give you a piece of advice even before I go for the commercial break. If you want to ease yourself, I think we should do it now, because when I come back, you will not want to miss even a second of this episode. We are back shortly after this break.
My name is Hadia Aishitu Seidu, MC Savulhu Municipal. Keep watching my Northern Achiever.
Make a date every Friday at 8:30 p.m. only on Sagani TV.
Thank you so very much for staying with me on my Northern Achiever, and I am with all smiles because, like I said before, as always, I have a very important guest in my midst, a very reserved man. Everyone in Ghana believes that he is so quiet, yet he is a politician. People believe that he should not have been in politics. Some people would say that politics is just not his thing. But today, I am with none other than the former board chairman of the Agricultural Development Bank, a former agricultural minister, and former so many things that we'll get to know about today. Alhaji Ibrahim Isaka Adam is my guest for today. Welcome, sir, to the program.
Thank you.
I must say that I am so humbled to be sitting next to you today, and I've heard a lot about you. And what I would like to start with is, I read somewhere that you have 11 siblings from 2 mothers with 1 father. You know, how many of these siblings were from your own mother?
My mother had 13 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, but
a single woman with 13
yeah,
children?
13, no twins.
She was such a strong
woman. And I didn't meet some of them though. In those days, infant mortality was very high. Okay. Yeah, but 8 of us grew up together. Okay. And only last month we lost 1.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, so we are quite a formidable team.
Okay, so where do you hail from? You know, where did you grow up?
Interesting. Oh, I grew up in Tamale.
Okay, but where do you come from?
Originally from Yendi.
Okay.
But my
I'm interested in this one.
Yeah.
You are originally from
Yendi.
Sankara
yes. From no.
I must say
from Nebong.
Okay.
Yes.
Nebong, okay.
Yes. But then a lot of my uncles were chiefs of Nantong.
Okay.
So people know us as citizens of Nantong.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are from Yendi.
Okay. But then who was your father?
Yeah, my father was an ex-serviceman who fought in the Second World War.
Wow.
And later enlisted in the Ghana Police Service. Okay. Actually the Native Police Division.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was a royal, of course. Okay. A royal of Dagbang, who didn't really care much about chieftaincy.
Wow.
Yeah, when he came from the war front, he saw the need for us to be united. Okay. So he really didn't care. All the pressure they exerted on him to become a chief fell flat.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't show much interest, and he kept us away from that too. until recently when my elder brother became a chief.
Oh, okay. But then, how did you relate with your brothers growing up?
Very, very closely. We're a close-knit family. Because of our deprived background, we always tried to stay close. There were things we didn't want the public to know about us. Yeah. For instance, I attended Nabrongo Secondary School up to Form 5 and came to Tamasco for 6th Form. At no time was I able to go to school at the right time after reopening.
Because you would have to...
No lorry fare. I didn't have the lorry fare. So I used to help my mother to sell bread, cola nuts, cigarettes, and other little things.
You did this?
Just to, oh yeah. Oh.
At what age was that? At what age was
since childhood.
So tell me.
I did it up to secondary Form 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me, during those days,
yes,
were you really thinking that someday you will be who you are?
No. I thought I was discharging my duties as a son, the son of a poor woman. My mother was overworking herself, so we decided, yes. Yeah, I used to get up at 4 a.m. to go and queue at the bakery at Dohanail. Yeah, so that I could get bread to buy. And then I would come and sell at the roadside. Just, you know where MCH is, this maternal and child health clinic.
Yes.
It was a police barracks.
Okay.
That was where we were living. So that was where I used to sell my wares.
Interesting. But you know, you coming from the family that you are coming from, a polygamous family, so to say. You know, what is your assessment of polygamy?
Okay, I think it's a very difficult thing to practice if the man is not in control. Yeah. If the man is weak, there's no point going into such a relationship. By weak, I don't mean physically weak.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. For instance, if you don't have strength of character that can control excesses within the family, and if you don't show open bias
for any
particular
excesses in your family, so to say?
Occasionally we saw them. Yeah, my mother, for instance, always felt oppressed and neglected. Yeah, and naturally we sided with her whenever there was a quarrel between her and our father. Well, that was from the child's point of view.
Okay. So now, if I may ask,
yes,
were you or are you the only one who eventually got educated in your family?
No. All the males got educated.
Okay.
But my mother objected to the females going to school. But the males, 4 of us.
So how well are they doing as well?
Okay. The one who just died was the eldest. Yeah, I would say he terminated his own career by choosing Infansipim at the common entrance. Although he passed, he couldn't go because they didn't have the lorry fare to send him down. So he didn't go to secondary school. But whoever interacted with him during his lifetime would admit that he was a very intelligent fellow. His English was first class.
Wow.
His writing was like printing. Yeah, that's right. His immediate younger brother was Dr. Ibrahim. He's an orthopedic surgeon today. Yeah. And then I came after Dr. Ibrahim. Not directly. A woman came before me, but in terms of the hierarchy of the males, I came after Dr. Ibrahim, then Yakubu followed, then my stepmother's sons also followed.
Okay. Now, I know that you seldom talk about your marital issues.
I don't talk about them at all.
So I shouldn't even ask about
No, don't go there. It's a no-go area.
Oh, okay.
I don't, not because I don't want to talk about them, but my family is a very sensitive one.
So, what was your first white-collar job after school?
Yeah, I was employed by Nasir Rice Company as an assistant farm services manager. It was a rice production. It was the biggest rice production company in Ghana. At a point in time, we were doing almost 100,000 acres.
Where was it located?
Different places, but the head office was in Tamale at industrial area. Yeah, we had farms at Janga in Mamprugu, then Wongu also in Mamprugu, then the biggest was at Karaga. Then there was another at Yapals in Yapong Tamale. Then Ga.
So, why did you leave this job? Because I know you didn't stay there.
Yeah, two reasons. The first one was that I thought I was spending too much time and energy on the job. Although the salary was good, I thought I could do better on my own if I invested all the time and energy on my own farm.
Really?
Yes. So when I came from school, I went straight into a job. Yeah, I did a holiday job and just stayed there. So I saw how beneficial rice farming was in those days. So I just took a decision. Secondly, what actually raised me out of Nasir Rice was one day I went to Ga farm on inspection. We parked our vehicle somewhere and went to the field. When we were coming back, just a short distance from the vehicle, we were confronted by a lion. Yeah. It was so scary.
Wow,
it was closer to our vehicle than we were.
This is serious.
Yeah, so it stood there looking at us. We were petrified with fear. So we also stood transfixed. Yeah. Then it moved some distance away and we ran and sat in the vehicle. And the driver was so scared he couldn't even start the vehicle.
This is serious.
So we had to sit in there for a while until a villager came. We told him, oh, we saw a lion.
So naturally you felt
he told us the lion was harmless, and that was their God. So
that's
but I made up my mind.
Even if I were you, I would
I quit.
Lion, no. Yeah. Any other thing out here, but for lion, it's a no-go.
That's a big one, a male lion.
But then let's creep a little further, or faster, into how you got into politics. Because, like I said before, so many people think you are too quiet for politics. So many people think you are just too reserved. Now, how did you get into politics?
I would say by default, because I didn't like politics myself. Yeah, it was Hudu. Hudu was my very good friend. He was my 3 years junior in Tamasco, but we were always together before the revolution. So when he was drafted into the government during the revolutionary era, you know, in those days
they used... you joined politics during the revolution?
Yeah.
Wow.
1984.
At the time, so many people rather abhorred politics.
Yeah, I was myself scared of it. Yeah, because it took me some time to get in there. I wanted to be sure my life wouldn't be at risk. Yeah, but Hudu convinced me to go in, and that was it. So I went in. I started in Tamale as the regional undersecretary for Agric.
Despite all of this, you know, what was the motivation?
Well, I saw an opportunity to contribute my quota to the development of agriculture in Ghana. Yeah, so that was actually that was the principal reason why.
So eventually you became Agric minister.
Yes, I went through. there was a little transition.
Okay.
I started in Northern Region after 1 year. Interestingly, Honorable Osafo Mafu.
Yeah.
He was then the managing director of Bank for Housing and Construction.
Yeah, sure.
And his brother at that time was the Secretary for Agriculture, Dr. Ajay Mafu.
Okay.
So Osafo Mafu came to open the Tamale branch of his bank. And then we interacted, and he said, oh, his brother was suffering in Accra because he didn't have a deputy.
Okay.
So if I wouldn't mind, he would mention me to him.
And you see you these politicians.
And a few months later, I was transferred to Accra.
You these politicians, you always talk with each other, you help each other out, but we are out there, we see you as...
Oh, no. We don't intimidate or antagonize each other.
All right, so you went to deputize his brother.
Yeah, so I went there as the Undersecretary Agric in charge of crops. Yeah, I was in that position for about 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I took over the ministry of Agric in 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah, then when in 92 we went democratic.
Yeah.
I was the first Minister of Food and Agriculture. Yeah. It used to be Minister of Agriculture. Okay. Yeah, so when the ministry was rechristened, I was the first appointee. And I served in that capacity for about 4 years. And then moved to Ministry of Trade and Industry for a year. Yes. Not many people remember that I ended up as Minister of Trade and Industry. Yeah. And that was the year I decided to go to Parliament. So I resigned just a month to the elections to have time for my campaign. So I campaigned for just a month or less. Wow. It was very difficult, but we made it.
We'll come to that, but let's stay a little longer on the Greek ministry.
Yes.
As a Greek minister, what reforms did you bring to the ministry?
Okay. Well, my primary objective was to bring the farmer closer to technology.
Wow.
I did this by convincing the World Bank and IFAD to finance a project, the National Agric Research Project, and also a bigger one, the National Agricultural Extension Project. Now, in those days, Ghana virtually had no money to do anything. Yeah, so we were able to purchase appropriate means of transport for researchers and extensionists, and we arranged field days for them. The technology disseminators met the technology generators on the farmers' fields. So the farmers felt very proud that they were taking part in research. And it helped a lot. A lot of them acquired the know-how right on their own farms. So
at the ministry, what was your biggest challenge, that you can still remember?
My biggest challenge? Honest reporting of the ministry's activities by its own officers. I realized that the civil servants were very good at writing reports. Yeah, and sometimes the reports were too good to be true. I'll give you an example. We had an agroforestry director, national director, who wrote a report once. He told us they had nursed 2 million seedlings at the nursery in Nkranza. At a time that I knew we had not raised even 100,000. But well, I couldn't doubt it. I asked the regional director in Bronga Hafo, and he said he didn't think so. So I just organized a tour of the region. I took all the national directors, including the agroforestry man, to Nkranza and other places in Bronga Hafo. When we got there, we didn't know the way to the nursery. The director who knew wasn't there. He conveniently feigned illness. So the district man took us to the nursery side, and they didn't even have up to 20,000 seedlings there. Meanwhile, we had disbursed funds
For them
to cover 2 million already, and there was nothing on the ground to show. So naturally, we had to discipline him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to find out.
We had to discipline him.
All right. We'll come and talk more about probably what you could have done better as an Greek minister, and maybe some other things. But then, before we come back to talk about all this and more, we'll go for a very quick breather. We are back shortly.
I am Sheikh Muhammad Al-Amin Bamba. I want to encourage everybody Thank you.
Make a date every Friday at 8:30 p.m. only on Sagani TV.
Thank you so much for staying on with my Northern Achiever, and I'm happy today to have one of my biggest guests in the person of Alhaji Adam Ibrahim Isaka, and he was the former board chairman of ADB. And so we were talking about a Greek ministry, but then I would like us to jump a little into the trade and industry ministry. This is something I've read a lot about you, but I have not found it anywhere.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Yeah, I was there for a year. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, what did you do, you know, at the industry?
Oh, well, basically, I just helped push ongoing programs.
Okay.
Yeah, to their logical conclusion. Okay. For instance, the free trade zone program. Okay. Yeah, I saw a lot of activity in my time. Okay. Danabo Daki, my deputy, was the main man. Okay. But I gave him all the support he needed. And then we had this business assistance fund, which sought to build distressed industries throughout the country by giving them very soft loans. Yeah, that was how Alassane Welder came to manufacture bolts and nuts and some other things in Tamale, and then Goodman manufactured animal traction implements. Okay. They were beneficiaries of the fund.
Then eventually you resigned to...
Yes, to come and campaign, yeah. Yeah, just a year to the election I won. But it wasn't easy, it was very difficult, very.
What was the name of the constituency then?
It was Chogo Tishigo at that time.
All right.
Yeah.
And so after winning the seat as MP, I'm sure if you had wanted, even up to now, you could have claimed onto that seat.
Yeah, oh sure. But no, I did tell, let me confess that I did not contest on my own volition. Okay. You say, it took some convincing to get me to come and stand, because we saw the constituency gradually drifting to CPP. Okay. CPP had a very strong candidate in the name of Abubakar Sadiq, a teacher, very good candidate. And because I came late, it was
very tedious.
It was very difficult. We had to campaign day and night, every day. But we made it. We made it. So I told them I was going to serve for only one term. Okay. Yeah. So they didn't believe me.
All
they
thought was just to rest.
Yes, to rest. Yeah, from CPP, not NPP. NPP didn't matter at all.
Because they were no match.
It was CPP. That was the problem.
Okay, so after one term, you actually...
Yeah, I handed over. I invited the late Abubakar Usmani to come and take over from me, and that too was a big problem. It was very difficult. He didn't want to. It was at the last minute that he came to file
Okay.
Yeah, then we helped him with his campaign and he won. Yeah.
So, let's move a bit further. It's like everything about you has been around agric and its things. Now, eventually, you were appointed the chairman of the board of directors of Agricultural Development Bank. Did you apply for this, or you were just...
No, I did not apply. I think I knew Professor Mills very well.
Okay.
Knew John Mama very well.
Okay.
So the late PV Obing recommended me.
Okay.
And there was no problem accepting the recommendation there.
So let's talk about the transformations you brought aboard as the chairman of ADB. What did you do differently from other board of chairman?
I can only talk about myself,
okay.
not other board chairman.
Okay.
Well, we had a mandate to steer the bank on the right course. That is to strengthen it to deliver credit to small-scale farmers and fishermen. Yeah, and that was what we did. We got it restructured by a consultant. We appointed a consultant who proposed the restructuring plan. The board discussed and approved it, and then we went ahead to we started. We rebranded the bank, as you may have seen. Yeah, a lot of changes came about.
Even the logo of the bank.
Yes.
It was that time I started loving agric development bank, frankly, seriously. And I must say you actually did very well.
We opened new branches as well. We were criticized for opening so many branches, which they said could not survive on their own. Our argument was that it was a development bank. It wasn't set up for only profit. People forgot about the development aspect of the government, the executive instrument that brought the bank into being. Yeah. So, Mole, for instance, we pay Yendi,
Because of Yendi, I will always remember that you were the board chairman when ADB came to
Yeah, before then, I think the whole of northern Ghana had just 3 branches of the bank. But we added about 7 or 8 more.
Wow. You have been through quite a number of difficult situations in life yourself.
Yes.
And for you to have remained strong after all these challenges is something that I admire you. For instance, in 2002 or so, you were convicted together with some other
2003.
2003.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But I think the case started from 2002 there.
Yes. As soon as NPP took over, they started talking about.
They were talking. It was about some rice, grains, and
quality grain.
Avim,
rice company at Abeme.
Okay. Now tell me a little about it.
Okay. First of all, let me say that those who knew about the project were very shocked to even see me in the dock.
Wow.
Yeah. The quality grain issue was contentious, and I would say I lost confidence in the judiciary to some extent, because the writing was clear on the wall that I had nothing to do with what they were talking about, procurements and whatnot. I was not the Minister of Agriculture at that time. I was Minister of Trade, and not even Minister of Trade. I was a Member of Parliament. I did not know the project had even taken off until they came for the supplementary loan in Parliament. They came with their documents to convince us to support them for a supplementary loan. No, I didn't know. The ministers who presided over this, incidentally, were not mentioned at all in court. They were not mentioned.
So it was more like...
because what did they hold against me? They said, one, I gave the lady who promoted the project, I recommended her for a multiple entry visa. What's a visa? I mean,
What does it go
a
to
director
with
could
the...
even recommend anybody for a visa. I did so because that was a standard practice for potential investors.
Okay.
And every minister was doing it. No big deal at all. The second one, they said I attended her wedding in Atlanta. Ridiculous. Fine. I did. I don't doubt it, because when she first came to Ghana, I was the Minister of Agriculture. Okay. That was around 93.
You created some acquaintances.
And yes, so I, for instance, advised her to open an account at ADB. And I told her to demonstrate the superiority of her technology to ours by we're taking a CD facility from Agri Development Bank. So I was rather pushing for her to take a CD facility, not foreign exchange. So how can you?
Can help
the
economy.
So how can you send me to jail because of foreign exchange?
So
you understand? So that was a purely political trial. Interestingly, when I was released from jail after serving my sentence, some big men in the NPP came to dissociate from themselves.
From whatever happened.
Yes. And they told me what really happened in their camp and who directed that I should go to jail. And also...
But why you, of all politicians in NDC?
They said they wanted a balance and they couldn't... they wanted a regional balance. Can you imagine? Yeah.
Of people that they will put in jail.
So ridiculous. I pray every day that one day a lawyer or law student would study the quality grain case. Yeah. I had no business at all. Look, throughout the trial, I was always dozing in court. My name hardly came up. Hardly. When I eventually went to give evidence, it took me less than an hour to finish giving my... Yes. There was nothing to talk about.
Okay.
But
so,
I paid the price.
Well, I think eventually, whatever it is, you know, whenever the truth is covered, even 1,000 years, it will resurface.
Oh, I'm sure posterity will exonerate me, sure.
And so now, upon your arrival or your release in 2004, when you arrived in Tamale, there was a big euphoria. You know, how was the feeling?
It was... No, I shed tears. Wow. Because it was something I never expected. Although someone hinted me that there would be a small welcome party. So when I met the first group about 10 miles outside Tamale, I thought that was it.
All.
I didn't know that virtually everyone in town was waiting. Yeah. I felt so proud because when I was in the cooler in Kumasi, Tamale people used to charter buses to visit me every week. They came with foodstuffs and all kinds of things just to make me happy. Yeah, it was amazing. So whenever they were late in coming, the prison officers became jittery. They benefited a lot from the foodstuffs they brought. I couldn't know. Yeah. It was an interesting place, all in all.
Now, let's shift a little. Yeah. Like I said before, a lot of tragedies. In 2002, for instance, you had a rice farm about 150 acres.
Yeah.
Now, upon harvesting about 45 acres or so, your combine had a problem. Then, all of a sudden, some farmer who was roasting cassava or something, you know, negligence through that, burns down the entire 105 or more. Now, how did you take this?
Well, I was naturally heartbroken, crestfallen, but I recovered quickly. I'm not a pessimist. I don't waste time on things that will not help me move forward. So, I mean, there was nothing I could do. We recovered very quickly. The following year, we expanded our farm. And we got a much bigger yield. And since then, we didn't turn back.
So what happens to the farmer who started?
No, look, if you saw the man, you'd let him be. He wasn't the type that could even pay for a bag of rice.
In fact, it's sad. But apart from this, in 2 years later, another tragedy followed. One of your daughters, or is it your daughter, had a car crash.
That was in 2014. Yeah.
So 2 years after the rice farm.
Oh, several years after the rice.
Okay. And so, how, losing a daughter who was of that age, married.
Yeah, with 3 children.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm told you were trying to airlift her to Accra from the accident scene.
Yes, actually, I got to Kumasi. I was on my way to Kintampo to join John Mama and others who were at a funeral. John Mama's wife's cousin's funeral. Yeah. I was at Kotoka Airport when I got a call from my son that his sister had gotten involved in an accident. The previous day she came to take leave of me, that she was going there. She was going to attend the engagement party or ceremony of her husband's cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. So she left and I forgot about her. I was on my way. I was waiting for my flight when I got this call. So I asked if it was serious. They said yes. So when I got to Kumasi, I didn't continue to Kintampo. I went to the hospital, and what I saw really shattered. I mean, it was so bad. It was a terrible accident.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I went there, it seems she was waiting for me to get there before she died. When she saw me, she just said they should cover her with the bed sheet. Then when I held her hand, she started gasping. So the doctors chased me away from there. And moments later, they wheeled her to have an X-ray. And they brought her back dead. Wow. Yeah, it was terrible.
On this very sad note, I'm going for a very quick breather. When I come back, we'll continue the program. Don't go away, we're coming back shortly.
Make a date every Friday at 8:30 p.m. only on Sagani TV.
Alright, thank you so very much for still staying with us on My Northern Achiever. My name is Abdul-Jalil Naabeli and I am the son of Musa Kumo. My guest today is Alhaji Adam Ibrahim. That is how everyone knows him. And I want to find out, a lot of us looked up to you growing up because you were so reserved and quiet. Now, what has been your life principles generally?
Well, I was raised to mind my own business.
Wow.
At all times, and I think I stuck to that to a large extent. Of course, the rules and regulations and the norms of the various appointments I took caused some variation in my adherence to this principle. Yeah, but in the main, I'm not an extrovert. Good. Then also, I believe in this policy of living and let others live.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I used to tell my children, look, whoever becomes an important personality, especially in politics or business, if you can't help anyone with your power, don't hurt them. Yeah, don't. And Those who used to come to me in the Ministry of Agri will remember, because some still quote it. I had this thing on the wall behind my chair.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, it's nice to be important,
Okay.
but it's more important to be nice.
Wow.
And I've lived by that principle all my life. I think that is the summary.
Well, interesting principle, and I do pray that the youth of today would also take such principle. But then, do you believe in the contemporary youth?
Oh yeah, they are an important part of the society.
Okay.
They are the leaders of the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how different is today's youth from your days as a youth?
Yeah, these days they are more aggressive, more assertive, less patient. Yeah, but very knowledgeable. I must say, if you take them for granted, you are going to sabotage yourself.
Wow.
So,
do you agree that the youth today is wayward or uncultured, so to say?
I wouldn't say so. I think that they are hungry for knowledge, hungry for information.
Okay.
If you keep these away from them, you'll see the ugly side of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally believe that they need to be cultivated.
Okay.
To be cultivated and told what is right and what is wrong. Some of them do things in genuine ignorance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not deliberate. Yeah, they do it in ignorance. If you tell them the right thing, they quickly backtrack.
Okay.
And follow the right path.
It is believed amongst us Northerners that people in high positions, especially political positions, seldom help their own. When they get there, they forget about home and they leave the youth to languish in poverty and suffering. Do you believe in this assertion?
To some extent, yes. It's very, you see, a politician always considers the political consequences of every action of his. It's difficult for a politician, for instance, to take projects to his home area or development to his home area.
To be like that.
We're being told. What I used to do was, if I wanted to help any part of my home region, I found help for 2 or 3 other regions first.
Before it comes.
Before I come to my home region. So no one complained. Yes, that's it. That was how we had these IFAD projects in various parts of the country. Yeah, I could have started in northern region, but I didn't. So it's difficult. It's not easy. If you do it, they will criticize.
But however,
from outside.
In your own capacity, as a public figure, what have you done to contribute to the development of the North?
Oh, I would say a lot.
Okay.
Let me just mention 1 or 2 of them.
Okay.
First of all, when I started earning a salary, that was in 1976, I prioritized girl child education. I noticed it was a problem. Girls were marrying very early. Very brilliant girls were taken out of school and given out in marriage. Very painful. Yeah, so I decided in my own small way to assist the promising ones with money for their years, for their fees and so on. I also took time off to talk to some recalcitrant parents, to impress upon them the importance of education, girl child education. Through that, I was able to liberate a few girls. And then as my income grew bigger, the program grew bigger. So many of, I can boast of so many important people in Ghana today. Who passed through my hands. I sponsored them through school. There are a lot more abroad who are holding very key positions. Yeah, so I've helped a lot of people to go to school.
And you still are doing so. And I celebrate you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I so wish that someday I would be like you and also try to help other people. And this is just something that every other person in high position in society from the North should be learning from. Let's try to help each other so that at least the North can get to greater heights. Have you retired from politics? Let me ask.
Almost. No, I wouldn't say retired, but I've taken a back seat, so to speak. I see myself more as an advisor than an activist.
But have you been called upon to be the flag bearer of the NDC or any political party? Would you accept same?
No. Interestingly, if I had wanted to be the first running mate and probably subsequently vice president of Ghana from 93 to the I wouldn't have gotten it.
Okay, so you were
because I was offered first and I turned it down. I thought Rawlings and I were from minority tribes.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wouldn't help our party.
You had that opportunity. This is rare, you know, I just can't believe this. You went to parliament for one term and you said, no, enough is enough. How many MPs today would be willing to, you know, step down?
It depends on...
And then vice presidency came, probably you could have been
There was an opportunity, but I wasn't interested.
There is this perception among the youth that the easiest way to make wealth is either through a high-profile personality or a politician, otherwise forget it. Do you believe it is true or is just video?
I think there's some truth in it. See, this war on corruption or the oft-repeated utterances against corruption can all be traced back to that. See, I wouldn't call it just a perception, it's a reality.
Okay.
Yeah, in many places.
Okay.
It's a reality. Some of us were able to go through secondary school, the university and so on in those days when it was very difficult to get there. Not because we had money to bribe anybody or knew anybody in a high place who could help. It was our own hard work. Today, there's so much competition for few places that if you don't know anybody who can introduce you to the movers and shakers in places, sorry, you won't get to where you want to go.
This is sad for us as I just
it's
hope
terrible.
That, you know, things get better.
It's very bad.
As life goes on. But then, young graduates and entrepreneurs are out there, you know, trying to find things to do. What advice would you give them based on the experiences that you have gone through in life?
Yeah, the first thing I would advise them not to do is to take up jobs for which they don't have the expertise to handle. I realize that we have so many square pegs in round holes these days that education is becoming irrelevant in our scheme of things. It's sad, but that is how it is. You see, I would say that the youth should do some self-examination. They shouldn't allow desperation to drive them to embarrass themselves. Because if you take a job for which you were not trained, you are going to embarrass yourself at the end of the day. The other thing is property. Right now we have a property owning democracy. Yeah. The youth are very impatient. They rush to enrich themselves and get themselves into all sorts of trouble because of that. They should make haste slowly. They should take things within their stride. They shouldn't overburden themselves with unattainable objectives. They like comparing themselves to their peers. Peer influence is very strong amongst them, and a lot of them fall foul of the law because of that. Yeah, so they should just take it easy, look for jobs they can handle. It's just like the political climate here. The region has more illiterates than educated people, and the illiterates argue that because they are in the majority, they must also hold political positions. You put them in those positions and all you see is confusion. Because they don't even understand what they are supposed to be doing. Yeah. So if you heard that I opposed illiterate candidates in the recent NDC elections, that was my reason. Yeah.
In fact, so the youth of today, let's try our possible best, like from what Alhaji is saying, to tone down. Let's be patient and go in for jobs that really suit our specifications. I would have loved for us to talk a little about your father's activities, because I know you farm a lot, but unfortunately time is not on our side. And, probably as the program goes on, we will get to another time so that we can talk more about some other parts of your life that we have not been able to touch on. But before we take leave of you, what are your final words to everyone watching?
Oh, to everyone watching me, I would say keep on trying. Everyone ought to have a dream or vision. And so long as you remember that you have a vision, you get the motivation to achieve that vision. And also, the situation in Ghana today may be bad, but I don't believe Ghanaians will let it go worse. We are a very determined lot in this country, and those who want to invest here should not be afraid to come in. Yeah, we'll get out of it. We are a very resilient people. It doesn't matter which party is ruling. The people will always remain the same. Yeah, and for the people of Dagbang, I would want them to remember that the chieftaincy problem has been the main cause of underdevelopment of the area. And so they should forget about it. Let the chiefs handle chieftaincy matters on their own. Northern region is a very promising one. Very promising in many respects, especially agriculture. They have a lot of fertile arable land dying to be cultivated. So investors should feel free to come in. If they have problems with land acquisition, they should let us know. We can help them acquire land. The family of my late brother, they have gone through a very traumatic experience in recent times, and I just wish them the best. Yeah.
Okay, viewers, thank you so much for remaining true and faithful to my Northern Achiever. It has been me once again, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, the son of Musa Kumo. My guest today was Alhaji Adam Ibrahim Isaka. Isaka is usually silent. And thanks a lot, everyone. I would like to say shout outs to Alhaji Combs, my uncle, the MC for Yendi, Alhaji Hayes from Yendi, and my lovely wife, Swat. Thank you so very much, everyone.